What's up guys, welcome to a brand new video. So today we're back with our third iteration of ranking champs in their class. Today we're with the skill class. So as I said yesterday in the tech video, the skill class was coming up and that's the one we're going to be doing today. So as I've said in all of the videos previously, this and a disclaimer, this will be my opinion and taken from my experience playing with the champs or me seeing them in YouTube videos, but also it will be they'll sort of be graded on questing, because obviously this is quite a big questing channel. As you've seen, we've gone to Thronebreaker, also on Battlegrounds as well. So sort of whether they're good counters or things like that in Battlegrounds, whether they're quick, whether they're good defenders, and then on quests whether they they can deal with a lot of nodes. So we may as well jump straight back right into it. So at 10th place, I've decided, again, this is another class where I found a pretty tricky, but never mind, you get through it. So in 10th place is, as you can see, Stealth Spidey. So he just, for a champ made in 2099, his pre-fight is really strong and can allow you to use it, choose which sort of web shooter you want. With it loaded, it can do a load of damage, and he also has a really strong passive evade. His critical hit rating against sort of like Venom, Dr. Octopus, the sort of the Sinister Six, and then all other symbiotes is really strong. The non-contact on his attacks are really good as well. Allows him to fight. Those sort of hits to not be parried, which really can help in Battlegrounds, but also makes him quite an annoying defender. However, defending is not sort of his strong suit. Obviously, as you guys know, the main reason and the main piece of utility in his kit is the web foam, which gives him 100% chance to inflict a slow debuff, and he can also not miss. So if that slow debuff is on an Ebony Maw or a Professor X with the Falter, then that allows him to sort of put that on, no miss, and he becomes quite a high utility champ. He's also really good. That slow is also really good for unstoppable buffs. So somebody like the 6.4.5 boss, which you've just seen me play and saw that I had a bit of trouble with the unstoppables. He just completely negates that, and he has some really, really strong synergies with the Sinister Six. Then Mr. Negative he has a really good synergy with, but then also Mystic Spidey and Scorpion. So he's a really strong champ, and he comes in at number 10. Then going into number 9, this was a tricky one, and I feel like maybe has a little bit of bias, but I've gone for Killmonger. I think he's a really, really good defender in Battlegrounds. So strong. If you can't get rid of that armor up, he just takes ages to kill. The unstoppable on his special one, the true strike he gets when he interrupts a special attack, can really help for Spider-Gwen or any sort of evade champ. He has a lot of bleeds. As I said, the unstoppable was really strong, but then he's also got the reverberation. So when you throw that SP3, sometimes he'll just take no damage. If it's active, he'll take no damage from the SP3. I used him a lot as a 4-star, so sort of getting up to uncollected, I used him quite a lot, and I just found that with fighting a Hyperion or someone, if you don't have a power control, and they're constantly getting to their SP3, he sort of has like a cheese way of negating any damage taken from that, if you can time your reverberation correct. He also has strong critical resistance, as you can see there. I just think he's a really, really solid champ on defense, especially in Battlegrounds, but also take him into quests, but also has him as an attacker, as I said, with those build up of bleeds. So he comes in as number 9. In the number 8 spot is another champ who some people love, some people rave on about loads, but he's just quite a strong champ, and as I said, people love him. I've gone with CROSSBONES in it at the number 8 spot. I think his shrug, his basically unable to be stunned, makes him a really annoying defender. The purify that he has on a lot of his attacks means he can just shrug off debuffs, which can come in really huge when, especially when questing. Like a CROSSBONES is almost like, you'll see it, watch a lot of the videos, a lot of the walkthrough videos from other people, and they'll say, you know, get a CROSSBONES. He has a few synergies, none of them actually that major, you know, none of them do anything really effective, which may be why he's dropped down a little bit. But as I said in the previous video, synergies aren't as strong. I just think some of the champs above him are a little bit stronger, have that little bit of better utility. But as I said, like, if you can get him as a high sig, the income and debuffs, purification can almost go up to like 100%, like as you can see there, 90%, and then he gets a fury. So it's almost fighting anyone with, like, if you're fighting an immortal abomination and they've got poisons, you know, if you fight him up, you're not poison immune, but you'll do an absolute ton of damage while building up those furies. I just think he's a really good champ for defense in Battlegrounds, for as well as offense, but then he's also really strong while questing, so he comes in at the number 8. As I said, if you have disagreed with any of these so far, let me know in the comments. Obviously, it's all my opinion, so is just somebody, it's just, I'd love for some discussion is what I'm trying to say, basically. I do think also that we've got Atuma and Black Cat. They're both champs who, especially Atuma's really new. I feel like maybe he could go up. He has strong sort of defensive attributes, but unfortunately he's not on the top 10. I should have maybe done an honourable mentions, but never mind. It's the same with Mantis. She could be top 10 next month or in 2 months' time. We just don't know yet. But in the number 7 spot, I have gone with Hitmonkey. I think Hitmonkey's a really strong champ. I think he's really good. He's one of the main counters for the thing, which almost makes him really, really, really useful in Battlegrounds. I think it can be really effective as everyone has a thing. It means you don't have to use a ban on thing because you know you can absolutely take him out. The guaranteed critical hits are massive. You know, the amount of damage that he can do. He can absolutely shred through opponents with his critical bleed. The purification when he's in sort of primal rage and assassin's cunning, I just think is really, really handy. Again, some synergies, nothing too major, but the sig ability is really, really handy and makes for that assassin's cunning to be that little bit longer, and then while the opponent is also below it, it will reduce their defensive ability, so he can do even more damage, you know, finishing the fights really quick, which is what you want in Battlegrounds. Again, I think he's a really good champ. I think he could be a little bit higher. I've just not been able to use him too much, so I don't really know what he's like. Every time I see him, I do try and avoid fighting him or banning him in Battlegrounds because I know he's just a great champ, but Hitmonkey is the one who comes in at number 7. Number 6 was a tricky one. I thought Hitmonkey and CROSSBONES could be a little bit higher, but after seeing, I was sort of new to the game when Moleman, who is the number 6, sorry, had the sort of the true strike sort of, I would say he had the little nerf on his true strike, meaning that it wasn't always, or the true accuracy, so I wasn't able to see him at his full potential. I feel like I've seen a lot of videos, people saying like he was one of the best, he was rivaling Nick Fury and KINGPIN as one of the best champs in the game. Still, I think although he has had that nerf, it has allowed, he's still not, it shows how good a champ he is, because he's not dropped too far, you know, he's still top 6, probably top 5 in most people's rankings, but I think the shock immunity is huge. A lot of people are starting to get shocked. The purification, the unstoppable coming at sort of random times if you're not too sure with him, makes him a really good defender in Battlegrounds. The bleeds can build up really, really nicely, and he can do massive damage on his SP2. I just think overall he's a really good champ. He's really good for questing, but especially in Battlegrounds, you know, you can still have him as a good defender if you've not got some more of the conventional defenders. But I do think the nerf sort of hit him a little bit and meant he fell down this ranking a little bit. However, same as Hitmonkey, I've not played with him too much, so I feel like he could go up, or maybe you guys could let me know what you think of him in the comments, or what you think of each champ on this, where they could go up or down, and sort of help me out with maybe champs I've not played too much with. However, next on the list is a champ I've played an awful lot with, and it's Falcon. When I first got Falcon, I wasn't really quite sure what to think of him. I was relatively new to the game, so I thought, oh, he's not very good. Like, he's not a very good champ. And then I would watch some, being new, I went and watched top 10s, top 5s to see who's good, and Falcon would always find his way in the top 10 or his top 5, and I thought, oh, maybe he's a bit better than I thought. However, actually having him in questing was one of my first rank 5 stars. I just realised how unbelievable that recon scan can be. I just think, the amount of things that you can bypass. Obviously, he shreds things, so he's really useful to have in your Battlegrounds defense, in your Battlegrounds deck. The critical hits that he has, while scan being a lot more, way more likely, means that he does so much more damage. Like, as you can see there, an additional almost 2,000 critical rating. The ease of getting that recon up just by dashing back and holding block. Like, he doesn't have too many synergies, which I don't think is a massive issue because of the amount of things that he counters. You want champs who counter the best defenders in the game. He counters auto block, he counters Thing, who is one of the strongest defenders in the game. He doesn't quite counter miss, but Hercules' immortality, he just bypasses that. I just think he's a really, really strong champ, and although quite basic, he's got the bleed on his SP1, he does big SP2 damage while in recon. I think he's a really, really handy champ, and he's a little bit of a Swiss Army knife. Although he can be poison and bleed, he's not really got many immunities. I do think that recon can come in clutch for a lot of fights, especially in Battlegrounds, so that's why he hits my number 5. And then he was a little bit of a, Falcon was tricky. I kind of wanted to put him a little bit higher, but after seeing recent videos of the next champ, and she, again, is very new, I've gone with Valkyrie. Valkyrie could be a little bit higher in my opinion. However, having to have her as Sig 200, I think, is a little bit annoying. The amount of damage, she's just completely different, like, to any champ that we've really seen. The fact that you can hit into her block for almost 11k damage is insane. If you want to see her full potential, go and watch Legacy's recent video, and you'll see it all in there. It's just the unstoppable counter that she is. She's by far the best unstoppable counter in the game, by a long way. The fact that you can just basically bypass that, it doesn't even exist, means she's really, really really helpful while questing. She would be a really good questing champ. She's also good at taking down Thing, which again is somebody who's really strong. The fact that she can hit into the block means that if she's got some, if you're in Battlegrounds and they're being a little bit passive and won't throw their special attacks, you can use those pierce and just really hit into them. The intimidate means that they can block up, they can sort of if they shell up and that will make them block more, and then you'll get more hits. It's quite easy to use. Her rotation is quite easy, getting to those 3 pierces and the SP2 and absolute shredding through. I just think she's really, really good, and she's something that, she's a type of champ we've not really seen too often. So she comes in at number 4, and I feel like she could be a little bit higher in the future as more people get her. However, we're yet to see that, so I've ended up sticking her at 4. In at number 3, I think, is a champ who is probably the skill champ I want the most, and is also a champ who could, you could arguably say is number 1, and it's going to be Shang-Chi. I think Shang-Chi is, just the already noticeable things on his kit, the slow, massive, the cleanse, basically meaning he can shrug off so many debuffs, the stun that comes at the end of his 5-hit combo ending with a medium, meaning you can basically get 15 hits in before they've thrown an attack, the slow as well, just allowing him to bypass the unstoppables, as we've said, but also a lot of other quite unique debuffs. I just think the amount of damage that he can do and the way you can play him, like the amount of, like I just said, he can just shred through opponents, but he can also be so useful. He's almost a Swiss Army knife, as in he's not immune to bleed or poison. However, the cleanse means he can shrug it off really, really quickly. He's got so many bits in his kit that allow him to counter a lot of different nodes. He's ideal for questing. The SP2 critical hits almost guaranteed, means he can do so much damage if you build him up to there, and his critical rating is really quite high. I do think there's just not much else to say about Shang-Chi other than he's the perfect build of a skill champ, if you ask me. He is what skill champs are supposed to be. He's the ultimate skill champ. I just feel that some people, if I had him, I feel like I could probably put him at number 1. He's such a strong attacker in Battlegrounds. A defender, not so much, relatively easy to take down, which I feel like these next two champs, 1 and 2, just, they have that edge over him. So Shang-Chi comes in at 3, but he really could be, I think these 3 are interchangeable, he could be at 1. So, yeah, he's at 3. In at 2, we have KINGPIN. KINGPIN was one of the first... I remember when I first got to the game and there was a big KINGPIN boss. I think it was on a side quest or an event quest. I don't think I could get through him. I had no idea, the unstoppable... that basically you can't interrupt his heavy attacks unless you've got a neutralized champ. You can't... Or there's a slow on him. You can't really evade his SP2, and that can sometimes be unblockable unless you've got like a Tigra who can just, who can evade that. But even then, it's really, really tricky. He has a lot of health. He's really strong. He hits so hard, even through the block on his SP2. The unblockables he has on his SP2 and his SP1. The rage, becoming overpower, where he just shrugs off any debuff. I think he is one of the strongest defenders. He's up there, in my opinion, as actually maybe the most annoying defender who I hate to face. Like, every time I see him, I try and avoid him on event quests or just, your story quests, just try and get out of the way of him. I really can't be asked to face him. He's just too tricky. I think he has so many bits in his kit that are so helpful, and like I said, the cleanse, the unblockables, the amount of damage he does into the block. He has some okay synergies with some of the Spider-Men. Like, I just think... Oh, he's got none with the Spider-Man, actually. I'm wrong. He has... but he does have some good ones there with Daredevil, and the Hoods is very, very good. 25 plus invisibility duration, and his... that's also good for Kingpin, having 100% ability accuracy on his rage. I just think he's a really, really good champ, and is probably someone who, again, as I said with Shang-Chi, could be interchangeable. He could be number 1. Number 2 is probably about where he needs to go, because I think the next champ is just that little bit stronger. And we may as well get onto him. Nick Fury is obviously the number 1. I just think what makes Nick Fury better than maybe Shang-Chi and Kingpin is... he's got that double life on his SIG ability. Like, he almost has 2 health bars, which I think is incredible. The fact that he can also be just periodically become unblockable. So if you're fighting him in Battlegrounds, he can be he'll just come unblockable and chuck that SP1 at you and you can't evade it. He's also a miss counter. He's got stun. He's got that disorient. He's also got the Fury's Fury, as it says there. It's just so strong, like the amount of damage that he can do. He has one of the highest critical ratings in the game, or critical hit ratings in the game. He has some okay synergies with other champs. Even just taking him in with the leadership, if he's dead, or 20% rating. If not, you give all your other champs 10. If you've got deep wounds, he shreds through opponents. He can be good on Battlegrounds attack, but also defense. Like, he is a Swiss Army knife. Like, although he might not be bleed immune or poison immune, the fact that he's got the double life almost acts as, in my opinion, an immunity. He just is really, really strong, and I do feel like maybe he is losing before Battlegrounds came out, I felt like he could have been losing a little bit of, popularity or usefulness. However, as soon as it comes back and he's got that double life, I just think there's no other champ like him. There's no other champ with 2 lives. And I just think, you know, that's what puts him at number 1. He is one of a kind. There's nobody like him. But as I said, the top 3 are interchangeable. And it's, you know, it's all my opinion. I do think that Shang-Chi could be a bit higher if I was able to play with him and see how he plays. The same with Valkyrie. Falcon could maybe drop back a bit, and Kingpin and Nick Fury are interchangeable. As I said, they 1 or 2, it doesn't matter. That it's almost a tie, but I didn't want any ties in my list. I didn't really want to cop out, so I went with a strict number 1. That is the skill class, though. That's the video. If you guys have enjoyed, again, please leave a like. Please look out for the mutant one, which is coming tomorrow. I'll try and get all the classes and then do an overall top 10. Again, this is all my opinions, so if you disagree, leave some comments telling me why, or you know, try to be friendly with it, of course. But yeah, that's the video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.